Alright, well, I'm going to level with you. We were going to release a massive hour-long video today, but my lazy, no-good editor, who's currently filming this, thank you so much for being in the room with me, mate, but he wasn't able to get an hour-long video out in 2 days. What the hell's that all about? So now we're stuck with option 2, which is talking about the least covered election on Earth, the US presidential race. Do you think Trump still has a chance, or do you think Biden still has a chance? Let's just get this over with. I love how every 4 years, everyone you know becomes this electoral college expert. Just like when the World Cup comes along. Oh yeah, Italy's in fine form this year. What are you basing that on? I don't know, don't they play it there? So obviously I'm not going to be able to add into it, particularly because I don't like talking about US elections, but they keep pulling me back in. Maybe we talk about, is Donald Trump's rudeness going to help him in Middle America? I don't know. And more importantly, I really don't care. I personally think he's funny. Isn't that enough? All I will say about it, though, is Biden made me a very rich man. Yeah, I slapped a few hundred down on that old cunt. And they already paid me before they watched Sky News to discover that he didn't actually win. You're lost, jackasses. What I have noticed, though, after being the internet political equivalent of that guy from The Simpsons with his shoo-in of the week, I'm always wrong. This one I was right on, and who'd have guessed it had something to do with the fact that he was like 15 points ahead in the polls. But it was also because I think that you just start to pick up a vibe. And you should just trust your gut, like Trump does. Look how it worked out for him, huh? But I think in 2016, what was the overwhelming atmosphere of that election? Oh, Hillary. Let's just get this over with. And then in 2020, it was, Trump. Let's just get this over with. I think Camille Paglia picked it in 2016. They should have just ran Joe Biden back then. But I am a bit of an outlier in my generation in that I think he's mad. He was a folksy, middle America, don't touch my pie in the fridge version of Paul Keating when he was sharp, and now that he's got dementia, he's got meme value. What more do you want? I mean, check it. Granted, he's a poor man's Trump in his level of hilarity, but he's also just a poor man's Obama, so it kind of evens out. Look at this meme. Joe, we're gonna lose Florida. Listen, Jack, we're not aiming for Florida. Huh? Makes me laugh. Also, just listen to him talk.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed.
People that are always reading Rolling Stone magazine interviews for insights into my personal life, I'll just spoil it all for you now. For the first 6 months of this year, every time I entered a room, I pissed off everyone I work with. Just film this, you ready?
What?
Just this.
What?
Corn Pop was a bad dude. What's the matter, Jack? What's the matter? Relax. More or less, the only thing I think the average Australian should care about when it comes to the US election is the fact that Joe Biden is injecting a huge multi-trillion-dollar package into saving the planet. I really don't understand why the average Australian is so enamored with whether or not the US is going to get healthcare. You've already got it, baby. Celebrate. The only thing you should be worried about, and this is a reminder to myself as well, I will go back and look at this video and think, very good point, friendly Geordies. Here's some Patreon to me. But come on, all that matters is injecting trillions of dollars into fighting climate change. That's all that really needs to be said about the US. That, and of course, is he going to flip Georgia? Because, you know, that's where Ludacris lives, man, and pretty sure it's got some nice peaches. Anyway, that exhausts my extensive knowledge of Georgia. We will be going back to a geographical location I'm more familiar with, Australia. Finally. Good to be home, where it's much more civilized. It's so scary over there with all the guns. NRA. Anyway, Marcus Paul, the man, the prawn, the legend. I don't know how he could be a man and a prawn at the same time. I'll let your imagination disclose that. And actually, no, I don't trust your imagination. I'm going to draw one. Prawn man! See, the halo's there because I'm a nice guy.
Do you want to give it away to a patron or something?
No, that's going on the wall. In fact, we're just going to put it here so you don't have to put that little news box in the corner. Just so everybody knows what we're talking about. Surprise! You can't get enough of me, can ya? 3 hours a day is not enough, Marcus.
This is the best video ever.
So anyway, Marcus Paul, as depicted here, he got in a scuffle with the Australian newspaper. Wow, what an awakening that man has had. He has been exposed full tilt to the propaganda model, and I don't think he likes it. Angry 2SM host trolls lefty 2GB. Marcus Paul called them lefties? He's a bit of a troll, isn't he? Ben Fordham comfortably retained his position as Sydney's top rating. That's the voice for the Australian.
Well, the Telegraph is this. Yeah, I liked when the footy show kicked one of the members in the nuts.
I thought that was a bit untoward. I personally liked the Sunday footy show, thank you. Ben Fordham comfortably retained his position as Sydney's top-rating breakfast broadcaster in last week's radio ratings. But you wouldn't know it from listening to 2SM's breakfast host, Marcus Paul. Yeah, well, you know why Ben Fordham has retained top position as breakfast king of Sydney? It's because, first off, his audience doesn't know that there are other channels. Second part is, it's because the Murdoch press holds 2GB up. That, you know, every bus in Sydney. All I'm saying is, how much better would it be if you saw this? Just on a couple of taxis at least. An audibly frustrated Paul, John Laws' warm-up man on 2SM, oof, that's gotta hurt. But then again, aren't we all John Laws' warm-up man? That guy, I met him briefly when I went over and talked to Marcus Paul live at the studio. He walked in with this Elvis gait, such confident big dick energy. The man looks like the Penguin from Batman, and he still walks around like this. Charmed to meet your acquaintance. Even though he clearly didn't want to speak to us. I just asked him one question. I said, is the guy that calls you up Norman? Look it up on YouTube, some of the funniest content you will ever see. Is that guy real? And he said, unfortunately, yes. And I died.
You didn't even know what pants you were wearing. And we're supposed to believe you can dress yourself. At 85, you doddering old fool.
It's really frustrating when I see so many listeners coming over from 2GB, and yet some of these key politicians won't come over. It's really starting to piss me off. It really is. We can't get the Prime Minister. We can't get the Premier. We're on a list, apparently. What the bloody hell does that mean? I'm on a list? A list of what? A list of who not to talk to? Well, let me give you a quick summary of what happened to you, Marcus. You told the truth. And as a result, welcome to the Real Outsiders. Did you know, and you would if you watched my Michael West interview, shame, that there are 7 journalists in Canberra that get the drop of what the talking points will be for tomorrow, and they turn those talking points into headlines. That's what's called playing the game. You didn't do that, Marcus Paul. You actually told the truth. And as a result, you're being punished for it without having access. But having said that, Marcus, are you really missing out on having Gladys Berejiklian as a guest? She never says anything interesting. She has her own talking points that she just repeats to you anyway. Just do what you currently do now. Read the Murdoch press and bitch about how you didn't get the exclusives. But the exclusives will always be the same thing anyway. We're building this road. Are you going to privatise it? Yeah, but don't publish that, okay? Marcus, I don't know how you're taking this Australian attack piece. I'm assuming it's in good nature because after I just dragged you through the mud for 2 weeks straight, you're like, that's pretty good. But just in case, don't be pissed off that they're not going on your show. That's awesome. That means that you are actually providing your listeners with a public service, which is why, public service announcement, #Marcus Paul in the morning. That's how you know that this guy's on the level. The fact that ScoMo is snubbing him, and the fact that ScoMo is so arrogant that he thinks that him snubbing someone is a punishment. You want my advice to the media game, but to anyone starting up as well, welcome hit pieces. Do not try and avoid that. That's just free publicity, baby. If there's one thing that we've learnt from Trump, it's that you can win 1 term as president with that. I mean, really, at the end of the day, what would you prefer, Marcus? One interview where Scott Morrison says, oh, really, Hillsong's underrated? Or do you want to be so hated by the establishment that you become president of the United States? Because that's where you're heading, Marcus. Yeah, I know you're not a citizen of the United States. Neither was Obama. And I think this would be a nice opportunity to tie in that hour-long video that we were discussing before. It is going to be all about a hit piece that I received in the Sydney Morning Herald. That's coming next week, and if I was one of the journalists that wrote that, I would be shitting my pants because it is so thoroughly damning. You really shouldn't have accepted it. That was a real death knell for your career. I'm calling it now. Like the video if you think that it's a death knell for their career. Let's just make this a scientific poll. And also subscribe because you won't want to be missing that video. You probably wanted to miss this one. Tough luck.
Please share and comment below. Comment.